Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the Decepticons Buyer's Guide for those of you who like Masterpiece Transformers. I thought last week when I talked about the Autobots, there were a lot of figures and a lot of options. But this week, the Decepticons have quite a few also, so let's get right into this. So I want to start with the big kahuna, Megatron himself. So Megatron is a good figure with the MP36 from Takara, and of the third-party options, I have a few of them. I like the DX9's Mitron the most. I know I had Apollyon, and that was my main one. The X-Transmon's Apollyon, but side by side, there are pluses and minuses to all the third parties, and I think that DX9 Mitron's the best third party. But the big boy came home to roost with MP36. Now, MP36 isn't perfect. He has a lot of kibble on the back. I think his waist area could have been done better. But aside from those few issues, he is an amazing looking figure. He is mind-blowing for the technology and the transformation and all of that, and he's a few years old already. But let's talk about the KOs. So here's a picture of Magtin, which I think is the best KO. On the left is a shiny silver Magtin version. Looks beautiful, looks amazing, has the tampographed symbol on his chest. And on the right is the unknown named company with the gold version. Now, a lot of people really like the gold versions of these guys. The most common versions that are out there of the KO are on the left, you have Toy House Factory. On the right, you have Infinite Transformation. So the Toy House Factory version of the KO, I think, is a great option. Probably second best KO because he feels tight, he looks good, the colors are great, and everything seems to match the original very well. On the right, you have Infinite Transformation, whose claim to fame is die-cast, and that they had some sort of a coating that you couldn't scratch the paint. So that was another thing about this thing. Both of these figures are great. My Infinite Transformations had loose joints, and 99% of the other people did not. So I had a negative on that, but the die-cast, man, I love die-cast. They also made a cel-shaded version of Megatron, and the KO cel-shaded went for ridiculous money, like $150 to $200, and now probably commands even more than that, or is non-existent on the market. But cel-shaded is definitely awesome. I wish I would have picked one up. Next on the list is Shockwave, which I believe to be second in command in the ranks of the Decepticons, and I don't like what Takara did. Hasbro never released this issue. Takara made the Lavender Wave on the left. The first one that came out, everyone felt it was too light colored and waited a few years and put the Plus out. The Plus of this Shockwave is a darker purple, and he looks amazing, by the way. I wished that I would have waited for this one, but then it's $250. So any way you slice it, there's a KO of Lavender Wave, no KO of Plus, and you know, KO is scarce now. And $250 for this guy, I don't know, maybe I recommend Cloud9 Shockwave Quake Blast. First off, this dude is solid. This dude is made of die-cast metal. I don't know about prices nowadays. I got mine for $88. I felt like I stole this thing. It feels so solid, feels so good, looks good. A lot of people thought it was a knockoff of Fans Toys version, their Quake Wave, this Quake Blast. But I never had the Fans Toys, and looking at them, I think this looks way better than Fans Toys. So next up, I want to talk about Soundwave. So Takara made Soundwave, and they released it in the US with all the cassettes for a Toys R Us exclusive for far cheaper than if you would have bought the Japanese Takara release, and then all the subsequent cassettes. So I think it was like $200 for Soundwave with one cassette. and then there were 2 more sets of cassettes for like $80 each or something crazy like that. And so you could get for $120, you could get all of it at Toys R Us. I miss those days. When I see this guy, I think of Toys R Us, not Takara and import and all that stuff. But looking at the design, he looks good. With this one, I would not buy any of the KOs. None of the KOs of Soundwave, because their joints are real loose. Even though they improve extreme amounts of articulation of the fingers, they have a massive amount of articulation of the fingers. That's the improvement. The figure itself feels kind of flimsy. Fans Toys Acoustic Wave. Now they've redesigned this to be a modern aesthetic, to look like the cartoon, and I really do love the direction Fans Toys is going. But we're looking 7 years later, and by the time this comes out in 2021, if it doesn't come out later this year, so 8 years after Takara released theirs. I mean, of course, there's a lot of time to improve on it, and for the price, I don't know what it's going to cost when we finally see Acoustic Wave, but I think Fans Toys will win because of the paint, because of the aesthetic, and all of that. But Fans Toys, I'm hearing, is going to have the tapes separate also. Now, I did not want to buy into the idea of buying $75 cassette figures. 60 to 75, depending on where you bought them. But on the left, you see Takara. On the right, you see MMC. And I think MMC dominates the cassette realm. They're a little too big, but the fact they're a little too big, they match, the cassette matches a real cassette, and Takara's matches a micro cassette. So when you look at all of this and you add it all up, I like what MMC's doing. They have a bigger, better presence on the shelf. But when you watch the cartoon, you watch this stuff, you see that Takara is closer to the humans and closer to the cartoon and closer to accurate. So it's kind of a challenging problem in there. The fact that I like the aesthetic of MNC more, I can't wait to see what Fans Toys does with them though. So when it comes to Seekers, instead of talking about each Seeker, I'm just going to kind of lump them in one. Make Toy Seekers just look the best. They are amazing. I do feel deep down Takara's working on a 3.0 somewhere. They have a design, they're going to drop it on us, but it'll be so expensive it'll blow your mind, and it'll take years for a KO, whatever. But Make Toys looks great. Now, trying to chase them down is going to be really expensive. I feel like Make Toys is going to have a second wind comeback with the reissues, simply because all of the Coneheads are including the wing fillers for these. It's subsequently each release of each Conehead has a different color wing filler to match these guys, and the rumor is they're going to reissue them. But of course, I don't put my money on until I see it. Now, Takara's design of the MP03 had a lot of problems. They came out with the MP11, it looked a lot better, but it feels cheap, it feels flimsy, and I think this was the beginning of where people started to question Takara. MP11. MP11 is where a lot of questions popped up. What's Takara doing? Why do these feel so cheap and flimsy but cost so much money? I heard it a lot, and I felt it myself when I picked this figure up. And Make Toys has its own issues. They're not perfect, but I think they're better than what Takara did until we see 3.0. Now, Make Toys on the Coneheads versus Takara on the Coneheads, I don't see as big of a difference. I really see that the Takara version is good, and it doesn't feel a whole lot different. Make Toys did kind of carry over a lot of the engineering and the aesthetic, but I kind of felt like the first Conehead, their endgame, was a step down. And on the left, that's Make Toys. On the right, you see Takara, and Takara still looks good, and it still works. The Coneheads, I don't have a huge attachment to them, so here's my Coneheads. I have Toy World, and this is aligned with my theory on how I collect. I like different figures to look different. I don't want all of my Seekers to look exactly the same with minor modifications, even though that's what G1 did. I want my Coneheads to look completely different. And the fact that these are a good 1.5 to 2 inches taller than all the other Seeker options makes it even more enticing for me. I like them even more. They have their own issues. They have slight stability issues. They're a bit thinner than all the other options, but I think they look amazing. I have mine. I never plan to get rid of them. Okay, so comparing Fans Toys Insecticons versus MMC Insecticons. First off, I want to say that the Fans Toys Insecticons are the best looking on the market, but I do like the MMC version. They're a bit stylized, but in the end, Fans Toys is so expensive. They're like 5 times more expensive than the MMCs if you buy them on the secondary market. So I'm going to go with MMC, but Bad Cube's still there. So Bad Cube came out with 2 different versions. This is the deluxe version that has the clear chests, the shinier bits of the wings and the tips and all that stuff. And these came individually packaged, and the standard edition came as a budget 3-pack. So depending on which one you get, I got the deluxe. I got the deluxe on a good deal though. But I like the deluxe, I like the extra shiny, and I do like the clear plastic. But the originals aren't that bad, and they're more tune accurate. Alright, Reflector. Reflector, this is a fun character. I had a lot of fun with this one. So, on the left of this picture, you see Fans Toys. In the middle, you see KFC. On the right, you see Make Toys. And all 3 sets are decent. I want to say Fans Toys wins the tune accuracy. They look beautiful. And with these guys in the cartoon, they looked all exactly the same and just like the Fans Toys. Now, I have the KFC set, and that's all I got left, because it was a good price, a good value, and they're the tallest. They're the biggest, and I just kind of wanted to keep those. But I still want to give it to Fans Toys. Make Toys aren't bad, though. So the Make Toys themselves, I like the transparent chests they have, and I like the fact the transformation is the simplest on those. So there's give and take to everyone. And by the way, the middle one, the KFC, has a clicky sound when you take the picture. So when it comes to triple changers, Blitzwing is one of the top triple changers. And on the left, you see KFC Ditka, which is available now. And on the right, you see the Fans Toys. It's not really Phoenix. I don't know what's going on with all that. But this is a Digibash of their Blitzkrieg, I think is what they're going to call it. Or Berserker. No, Berserker? I don't know. Anyway, Fans Toys version might be the best. Now, it's gone a revision. It's different, kind of like they did with Acoustic Wave in a way. But on the left, if you can look at these 2 pictures, you could see that they both look great. They both look G1. They both look tune accurate. KFC has a major stability issue, very top heavy. The hardware in the knees and the legs and the feet cannot seem to sustain it. They did include sort of an upgrade kit with it if you bought it for BBTS or whatever. I haven't put it on. Mine still stands okay, and I'll wait, maybe one day put it on. I think Fans Toys re-engineered to make sure it's not as top heavy. Maybe that works, and it'll be awesome. So looking at Astro Train, I have to say on the left we have Fans Toys Thomas, on the right DX9's version of Astro Train. So here's the thing. DX9 was the first one that made the correct size, and the aesthetic, you know it's Astro Train. You know it is. But it kind of misses the tune aesthetic 100%. Fans Toys kills it. It looks amazing. And there's another figure, Fancy Cell, that was about chug size. Even though it was third party and priced at Masterpiece, it wasn't big enough. Fans Toys really will be the only option for a tune accurate version when it comes out. So Octane is the lesser known triple changer of the Decepticons, but has 2 iterations in the Masterpiece line. So on the left you see KFC's version of Octane, and the thing about this one is he has a lot of QC issues, and if you look at him overall, the overall look doesn't quite match the character. On the right, you have Make Toys, or I guess you could say Mock A Toys. That one's okay. It looks good. It works. Both of them have the giant wings, takes up a lot of space. I have the Make Toys or the Mock A Toys version. He is a bit small for Masterpiece. He doesn't really mingle well with the other, say, triple changers that are Masterpiece. But he's still better than the one that Hasbro made, even though Hasbro did an excellent job with this figure. I was trying to figure out which one's bigger. I do know Make Toys is bigger than the Voyager class version Hasbro made. Let's talk combiners. You talk TV, I talk combiners. So on the left you see Toy World Constructor, which by the way was supposed to be an IDW inspired based on the comic book version, and they quickly realized that the market wanted G1, gave G1 head, G1 legs, G1 upgrade parts, chest fillers or the midsection fillers to make it look more G1, and they stuck with it ever since. By the way, if you've noticed, ever since the third issue of this, the release, now they're up to 258 colors. No, I'm just kidding. But this figure does look good. It's the best on the market, and a lot of people start to wonder, will there be a better one? Now, on the right, you do have the Generation Toy version, and Jinbao KO oversized the Generation Toys version, and so it still looks stylized, but it looks good, and it's loved because it's pretty big and beefy for the Jinbao KO oversized version, and on top of that, there are a ton of upgrade kits to make it taller, more the size of Toy World Constructor. Now, some of these constructors that are coming out for $700 to $800. I got mine for $300, so I don't really know the $700 to $800 the values there for the extra paint apps. Not 100% sure about that. Now, I do still like the 18-inch Hasbro / Takara version of Devastator. I don't think it's the greatest articulated. It has problems with super skinny arm syndrome. There are upgrade kits for it. I don't like the shoulder upgrade kits myself. The foot upgrade kit, that's a good one. There's the forearm upgrade kit and the hand upgrade kit, that's a good one. But when you look at this thing, it still looks like Devastator. You know it's Devastator. And at the time when it came out for 140 bucks, great option. Individual bots, on the other hand, are not that great. Bruticus is victorious. So when it comes to Bruticus, I like the Zeta's version right now. And then a lot of people talk about the Jinbao KO oversized version of the Warbotron. Now it gets confusing hearing about all of that. So Warbotron came out with one about 14 inches, and then Jinbao made it 18 inches, but Zeta's is 21 inches, or around about that. So when you look at all of this in perspective, Zeta is still the biggest and the baddest and the bestest of them all. Nobody's offering one nearly as big as Zeta, and Zeta, DX9, X-Transbots, Fans Toys, all of them are operating on this scale right now. Now MMC is still working on a set, and it's going to be roughly 17 inches tall. It's not going to be quite as big as Zeta option, but I think it looks good. I think it's promising. And this one's all-encompassing. The other one has parts forming in Zeta, and people don't like that. All-encompassing does equal some drawbacks in the combined mode. So give and take, depending on what you want. So looking at Minosaur, it looks like on the left we have X-Transbots, on the right we have DX9, and I have to say that we have not seen how Fans Toys combines. So I'm not factoring Fans Toys in combined mode yet. So it's either going to be DX9 or X-Transbots. So on the left, X-Transbots looks good. DX9. On the right is an actual version of DX9. and the actual X-Transbots attached to it. So that's how that would look. And I think that DX9 works. I think X-Transbots might look a little bit better, but we'll see in the end. So when it comes to Predaking, I think that the Jin Bao KO oversized with the MMC on the left-hand side, it's about, I think it's 18 inches tall. And that one looks very stylized, but still looks good, and you tell it's Predaking. On the right, you have the Hasbro Titan class version of Predaking, and he looks good. But there's a big, amazing upgrade kit coming to make this thing as big and tall as Toy World Constructor or Zeta and all of those. So I think this might be promising in the future. It's not ready yet. So the Jin Bao's out there at 18 inches. This other one's going to be like closer to 20 with the upgrade kit. So for the Seacons, there's the TFC Poseidon. Way too small for Masterpiece in my opinion. I think it's only like 14 or 15 inches tall. But it does look good. You have to look at this thing. It looks awesome. And for that, it makes the list. But it is too small. I'd like to see another company come along and make it bigger. Or maybe upsize this one. And for Abominus, you have Unique Toys Orion, which is still only, I think, about 15 or 16 inches tall. Still not big enough, in my opinion, for a Masterpiece, but does look great. I mean, this thing is smooth, it looks good, it looks G1, and I think all of the modes of all these bots look great. Taking a look at Trypticon, I really think that Hasbro's Titan class is going to be the Trypticon to get for a long time. In fact, I don't even think another third party is going to announce a Trypticon that's worthy of Masterpiece scale for years. And when they do announce it, maybe in 2, 3, 4 years, it's going to be years after that till it comes, if it does come. So this figure is already out on the market, and the price is only going up on it. So if you want a Trypticon in your collection, just bite the bullet and get Hasbro's Titan class. So for Scorponok, we have the upcoming, very soon, Titan class Hasbro version of Scorponok, which I think looks amazing, looks great. It's going to be awesome. I mean, I have all of the other Titans, and I don't see why this wouldn't live up to the rest of them. And on the right is the gigantic Zarak, Mega Zarak, and it was cool for its day. It was a $400 figure, and is probably going to be more than that if you chase it out on the secondary market. Still looks cool. I don't know if it transforms or not. We know Hasbro's does, and we know Hasbro's looks really good. So, I mean, I'd probably go with Hasbro's Titan over there, the Mega Zarak. As far as I know, Fans Project's the only one that done a Monstructor. And so for that, if you want a Monstructor, go with theirs. It looks cool. It fits the part. I think it's 14 inches. Maybe it's only 12. 12 or 14 inches. Kind of small, but the original was real small too. So for Sixshot, I really think there's Fans Toys, Hydra, and then you've got the DX9 version. Now there's a YouTube channel called Tidarium Hanger that did a comparison of these, so go check it out there. Shameful plug. Hydra looks good. I think Hydra looks the best. He is a bit weak in the knees, and some people are scared about the posing. The DX9, on the other hand, feels more solid. I never felt like it was going to fall over, but I felt like it lacked a little bit in the aesthetic and the presentation and the paint, the lack thereof paint that the Fans Toys provides. So, I mean, it just depends on which route you want to go, and I think both of them are commanding a hefty price these days. So for Galvatron, there's Fans Toys on the left, and we have DXN on the right. I feel like Fans Toys is the winner out of this. Now, if you have DX9 that's on the right, and you don't feel like spending $200-300 to upgrade, well, it's worth it to just stick with your DX9 then, if you don't want to spend $200. I don't think it's actually worth spending $200 for the upgrade and trying to sell off your old. But either way, both these figures are in high demand because DX9 has not reissued this for almost 2 years, and there's really no reissue expected in the future for either of these figures, so they're both in high demand. So when it comes to Scourge, X-Transbots wins because they're the only game in town. And they also offered a 3-pack. So I got my Scourge for like $133 or something like that. and then they offered a 3-pack that was like $330. They made them $110 a piece. So I considered that, but I really didn't want 3 of this one. I kind of wanted to see if Fans Toys or, maybe another company take a stab at it and give it a shot. I am shocked no other company has made this yet. Next up is Cyclonus. On the left is X-Transbots, on the right is Fans Toys. So X-Transbots is thicker, bigger, beefier, does have a couple of fiddly parts that could break off, but so does Fans Toys. If you're rough with any Fans Toys figure, of course you're going to break them. I felt like the Fans Toys was too thin. Now that I have them in hand and on the shelf, I feel like he's just the right size, and now X-Transbots is a bit too thick. So it's kind of one of those weird trade-offs. I like having both of these in my collection for different reasons, but Fans Toys wins in the paint department, in the feel, in the aesthetic. It just kind of edges out slightly, but I still like the big, beefy massiveness of X-Transbot. So for Apeface and Snapdragon, the only game in town really is the KFC version, and they're great. Now, I've never handled them or touched them, but I've heard from a lot of people, not just 1, 2, 3, but a lot of people, that these are good figures, and they look good. They look good on great modes. Both modes, all 3 modes, whatever. And so for that fact, I would probably recommend them, even though I've never touched them. I'm going to have to pick them up in the future, or eventually. They do look good, and of course they got a great color scheme. So when it comes to the Monsterbots, the fans hobby wins this because they are the biggest, the best, the baddest. They're super bulky. Somehow I missed out on these entirely. I just missed they even released them. I don't know how, so I don't have any of them, but they do look amazing. They are big, beefy, and massive, and they're a true homage to the G1. Lastly, getting into the rest of the Headmaster Beasts, we're looking at a few of these figures. So we've got Weird Wolf from Fans Toys, we have Mindwipe, and coming up we're going to Skull Cruncher. The thing about these figures are that Fans Toys makes the correct scale, aesthetic, and the look, and a lot of people want Lupus. Now Lupus falls in the same exact category that Tesla or Perceptor falls. Their Weird Wolf is never ever going to get a reissue. So a lot of people are paying like $500-600 for these figures, knowing that there's a possible 2.0 coming. Fans Toys has come on the record and said they're never going to make the Perceptor again, and they're never going to make Weird Wolf again in those forms. They may make reissues. They've already announced Perceptor reissue of a 2.0. I think one day we're going to see a 2.0 version of Weird Wolf, and I think that's going to be upon the release of Skull Cruncher, but that's only my guess. So let me know what you think about these options for Decepticon Masterpiece Transformers. What do you recommend? Which ones do you like the most? Like, subscribe to Darren Hanger. Out.